So imagine this for a second. You live in Ireland, quiet area, normal streets, normal routine, people arguing about parking like it's an Olympic sport. And then a little boy, it's just not there anymore. Now he ran off for an hour and came back with a juice box. I mean, missing. Daniel, and the first twist in this story is already insane because this was not the kind of case where the whole country instantly knew his name the day he vanished. This wasn't plastered everywhere from the start. Instead, what has been reported is that concern for Daniel well-being emerged, and his disappearance only came to light after a routine check later in the year, in September. Just let that sit in your head for a second. A child is gone, and the system only properly realized during a routine check. That is not a oops, that's a nightmare. Now the guards start piecing together what they can. They start asking the question that sounds simple but are actually the hardest one. When was he last seen? Who last has responsibility? What was said about where he was? What paperwork existed? What story was being told? And here is the part that makes this whole thing feel cold. Irish Times reporting has said the boy is believed to have been killed in 2021, which means the investigation is not just about a disappearance. It becomes about time, about what was hidden, about how long the truth was buried. And then another turning point remain are discovered in Donabate. Irish Times reports the remains were found in Donabate earlier this year. Irish Examiner reporter adds a very specific detail. Daniel's remains were discovered on Wednesday, September 17th. And when remains are found, the entire energy changed. Because the missing person case has a different kind of hope attached to it. Even when it's grim, people cling to maybe. But when investigators locate remain, hope doesn't disappear. It mutates. It becomes one ugly, burning question. Who did this? So the guards escalate the case to a murder investigation. And then the next twist hits fast. An arrest. A woman in her 20s is arrested earlier this week in connection with the investigation. And this is widely reported across Irish outlets. Now, here is where people online always mess up. They hear arrests and they instantly decide the whole case is solved and someone's going to prison by the weekend. That's not how it works. The guards can arrest someone to question them, to test information, to check contradictions, to compare what's being said against what they already know. And in this case, the woman was released without charges. That doesn't not mean innocent and done. It means at minimum that the guards were not in position to charge her at that time, and the investigation continue while a file is prepared. So, at this point, you got a child dead, an investigation now officially murder, a woman arrested and released, and the community that's probably sick with anger and disbelief. And then today's happens. Today is the moment this case stops feeling local and starts feeling like a movie you didn't ask to watch. Because on Wednesday, December 24, 2025, the Irish Times report that Brazilian police arrested a man who Irish investigators believe is linked to Daniel's case, and he is expected to be deported to Ireland. RTE backs up the key detail that matter a lot legally. Brazilian police said the arrest was for deportation purpose, tied to the man's immigration status being irregular. So, let's translate what that means in normal human language. It means Brazil didn't announce we arrest him for murder. They're saying officially we arrested him to remove him. But Irish authorities believe he is linked to the case, and once he's back in Ireland, the guards can deal with him under Irish law. And that's is massive, because the hardest part of many investigation is not always proving something happened. It's getting the right person in the right place under the right legal conditions. So, questioning and legal process can actually bit. Now, do we know exactly what his role is? No. And anyone pretending they do is either guessing or lying. What we can say safely and is this: Irish investigators believe this man is linked to the case. Brazilian police arrested him for deportation purposes. The expectation is he will be deported to Ireland. So now the case entered a tense waiting phase. Because deportations takes procedure, identity, paperwork, coordination, timing. And while that's happening, the guards will be preparing quietly. They'll be lining up what they already have: statements, timelines, any inconsistencies, any digital trails that exist, any movement that can be verified, any links between people that can be proven in black and white terms. Because here is the thing about guards in big cases like this: you don't go international unless you think it's worth it. You don't bring someone back across continents because you're curious. You do it because you believe there is something there. And if you're Daniel's family, this is the emotional torture part. Because an arrest abroad sounds like progress. And it is. But it also drags everything back to the surface again. All the waiting, all the anger, all the how did this happen, all the who knew, all the why didn't someone catch this sooner. And this is where the community impact hits like a brick. Because this isn't just about one household. This case triggers the wider fear people had hate talking about. The idea that a child can slip through cracks and time can pass and systems can fail and only later does the truth come out. And once a case reaches this point, it's not just a criminal investigation anymore. It's become a national question about responsibility. Now let's talk about what happened next. Once the man is back in Ireland, guards can interview him. They can compare his answers to what they already know. And depending on what they have, the next outcomes are usually one of these. Either the case accelerates fast with new evidence and potential charges, or it becomes a longer legal grind where investigators build the file step by step until it's strong enough for court. And right now, we're standing on the edge. A woman arrested and released without charges. A man arrested in Brazil for deportation purposes, believed linked to the case, expected to be deported to Ireland. That's not case closed. That's the next chapter is loading. And here is my closing thoughts. Not speculation, just the awful truth of how these stories work. Sometimes the loudest parts of an Irish true crime case isn't the crime itself. It's the silence around it, the time gaps, the how did nobody know, the who was telling what story, the way ordinary life kept moving when something terrible sat hidden underneath it. And then one day, a routine check happens, a search happens, a discovery happens, and suddenly the world stops pretending it didn't happen. Now, Ireland wait to see what come back from Brazil. Not just a person, but answers. And if those answers come, they won't just change this investigation. They'll change the story of Daniel forever. If you want fast updates on Irish true crime, subscribe. We cover everything before it hits mainstream headlines. Thank you.